Hello, world, and welcome to IBM TV World News. I am the executive producer of IBM.TV and your co host while we discuss this ongoing um, trauma to the world. We are currently in a pandemic situation, according to the World Health Organization, and also the Director General of the World Health Organization announced this yesterday. All through the week, we are going to have board of advisors from IBM TV that are from all over the world come join us and share their real stories about what's going on all over the world. And nobody's dialed in yet, which kind of explains a little bit about what's going on here. There's just so much happening, and people are just, you know, fear of not knowing what is happening to your body or not knowing what is happening to your community can be very, very dangerous and unhealthy for you. And until we understand ourselves what is really going on, we're just going to be in a panic mode, or the opposite. We're going to say, don't be ridiculous, don't panic. But I'm going to guarantee you that there are over 4,000 people out there, families, who had wished that they had panicked more or listened more. And unfortunately, there were people out there who didn't get the message, or there were people out there who caught this first, ground zero. Now, let's talk a little bit about what this disease will do to you. Now, all of the resources that we go to on IBM TV, they are not hearsay resources. These are resources from CDC, from World Health Organization, and from NFID, which is the National Foundation of Information, Infectious Disease. Let's try that again. National Foundation of Infectious Disease. And while we go through this show, I am going to introduce to you where these websites are. But first off, we need to talk a little bit more about what exactly happens to the body and why is this not like just any other flu, and why is there such a big concern about what's going on. And the big concern is what happens to the body, and that's something that not many people share with you. And this is another reliable source that I come to for this kind of information, which was the National Geographic, which happened to do a story precisely on what happens to the body. So let's talk a little bit about the disease itself, what's happening to the body, and why this is such a concern to some people. And so, a lot of people don't know that this is what's happening to the body. So I go to the National National Geographic.com site, and I'm going to share that with you here in just a moment. I don't have any technical assistance today, folks, so please bear with me while I share this information with you. It's very alarming to me. It's very upsetting and disturbing to me that they don't really talk about this that much. They all they're talking about is what to stay away from, how to prevent it. But let's talk about why you want to prevent this disease, and let's share exactly what's going on. I know that there's a better way to share this with you without all of these ads, but hey, you know what? Given the fact that we're using their website, let's just go ahead and use their ads. So these underlying conditions make coronavirus more severe, and they're surprisingly very common symptoms. For a while now, they have thought, well, this is just really affecting the elderly people and people that already are sick. But now they're learning that there's more to this. And let's talk about this just a little bit more. The underlying conditions and severe cases of COVID-19. That's what they're calling this, COVID-19. That's because it began, or they feel like ground zero began in 2019 in China. They are showing that the evidence of COVID-19 is more fatal than any seasonal influenza. Death rates will be 6 to 10 times higher. I'm going to share with you the announcement from World Health Organization Director General here in a minute of him sounding the alarm. Anyway, there have been over 4,000 deaths, and that was as of yesterday. Again, the count is done every day, 12 noon. You can go look at it at World Meter. You can also probably find it now on the CDC site, but it's easier for me to go to the World Meter, which I have a reason to believe that World Meter supplies the information for everybody. I could be wrong. But let's talk about this. So far that we know, coronavirus has two other strains. The MERS that we suffered years ago and SARS. India was not truly impacted by either one of those diseases. So you have to take a look at what happens in some of these countries where the disease doesn't impact it as badly as others. It could be that other countries are traveling more, and it could be that it just happens to be in that country more. It could be the food, it could be the water, it could be the environment, it could be that their immune system is more stronger because of their eating habits and their daily practices. But let's talk about the underlying and most horrible part of all this is it tears apart the lungs. It will turn your lungs into a honeycomb. The coronavirus is called the coronavirus because it's got spikes all over it, and it looked like a crown, so they called it coronavirus. These spikes enter into what they feel like is ground zero in our body, the lungs, and it tears the lungs. It will then start entering into other parts of the body because it's going to be looking for gateways. It's growing inside of your body. As it does this, it's just going to destroy everything in the body. You're not going to be able to stop it. These are old confirmed cases. This is an older article, but it's the only one I found that is really very well written and also just details exactly what happens in the body to you. And I have yet to see anybody on any news or anyone announce this from World Health Organization or even the CDC when they talk to the public about this. But it gets into the bloodstream, and they call that a blood storm. And it can start causing cardiac arrest and various other problems. Ground zero in the lungs, it's going to start in the lungs and it's going to come back, and that's generally when people have died. I'm not trying to scare anyone in a pandemic way that everyone's going to die from this. We actually have, once we get people in, we have actually a high recovery rate. But the problem with this disease is that if it starts spreading way too fast, we're going to have problems like they're having in some of the other parts of the world right now, where the National Foundation of Information Disease subject matter expert Michael shared with us yesterday in some of his interviews that some of the hospitals can't control it. And he was reading an article that would bring tears to your eyes, and the article was sharing with us that they have to decide who lives or dies. The doctors and the nurses and the staff themselves, most of them have the virus, and they have to continue working until they just nearly pass out themselves. So the disease is going to rupture many parts of your body. They call it a blood storm. If you can look right here, blood storm, inflammation causes through a person's body. It's going to infect every part of the body that it touches and tear it apart. If you have a healthy liver, hopefully your liver will do its job, and its job is to separate the bad from the good, and it tosses out the bad and puts the good in you. The problem is when it's tossing out the bad, the other places that it goes. I don't mean to laugh, but we got to think about this, right? Where all will it pass through, and what will it do? Now, in the beginning, they said it was not found in feces, but now they've decided and learned that it is found in feces. Well, come on, people, let's get real. If it's passing through your body, of course it's going to be found in the feces. The question is it contagious at that point? One of the things that they did discover in some of the white papers and researches is that it has less of a tendency to grow and spread in water. and in liquids and fluids. They have recommended that people use humidifiers in the house and stay hydrated. Again, I'm going to share with you guys a story that a doctor shared with me years ago when the flu was going around and killing people. And I asked him why. And he said that the majority of the people die because they dehydrate. Dehydration kills a lot of people every year, and people do not understand dehydration and the impact it has on the body. I have a colleague and friend in Miami who used to play football, and his story is that he literally died on the field because he dehydrated. He had a heart attack. So hydrate yourself. Even if you're so sick you cannot hold down water, there are ways to start rebuilding and hydrating yourself very slow. You can do it by sucking on little pieces of ice. If you do not have access to ice, little droplets of water. First way to do this, and it's very hard to do after you've thrown up, if you throw up, is to rinse out your mouth. Don't drink anything. Don't put anything down that's going to come back up again. Slowly put droplets of water in your mouth and let your body absorb it. Hold it in your mouth and slowly, just every few minutes, little droplets of water, and rebuild yourself. There are various other ways that you can do that. This is not going to be anything easy for people to get past, but if you could take a look at the cavity I'm looking for one. I don't know why we're looking at cancer now, so I apologize. This was supposed to be the site. We had it. Of corona. I've been told that some places have banned this information. They don't want people to know all of this. So anyway, I'm going to stop sharing this and see if anyone has joined us. And we are having technical difficulties. There we go. And let's see. Nobody has joined us yet. So let's continue discussing what is happening. So people are trying to dial in, but apparently they've got the wrong invite. So I'm going to send out an invite real quick to the people who are waiting to get in. And hopefully they can get in. I don't know why they have an old invite, but let's get these folks in because they're subject matter experts that can help us. And again, I am doing this on my own. We do not have a lot of people working with us right now. We're all volunteers to get this message out to you on a daily basis. And of course, everything resets on me when I try to get something done. Let me get this to our group. Bear with me, folks, while I send the invite to everybody. And hopefully they get it. All right. And again, my apologies to everyone for this not being as professional as it should be, but we're trying our best. We have a couple people that are waiting to get in, and again, I am running all the technology myself today. So, and everyone knows I can only do so much, right? We all can. But let's talk about what we can be doing to protect ourselves. They say that it was not airborne. Yesterday's news from the Director General of the World Health Organization has informed us that it is airborne, and of course it is. It's entering our lungs. So let's be realistic about this. They've been telling us to stand 10 feet apart from each other, contact to it, of course, and then when you touch it, your hands are not your friend right now. Putting it to your face, not good. The more times you put to your face, the more times you're at risk. Actually, the best thing they tell us all is to stay home. Don't shake hands. Don't get close to people and touch them. No contact, people. No contact. The Indians, okay? This is how we say hello. We don't shake hands. This is how we're learning to say hello on IBM TV. We are all praying for each other, bowing down to each other, and giving each other our blessings. But let's talk about this. No contact, okay? That's going to be not just for you. Protect your family and friends. Think about what you are giving them. Think about what could happen if they get sick too. Let's try to protect each other. This is something I try to tell everyone. The masks, they say it doesn't work, but the mask should not be used. Oh, we got Willie here.
Good morning.
Good morning, Willie from down under.
Good morning. How are we today?
I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. Apparently, an old invite was sent out. We're doing these so fast. How's it going there?
I'm good. I'm good.
So did you hear the World Health Organization's announcement yesterday?
Yes. Yes, we did.
It's pretty alarming, isn't it?
It is. It is. It is. It's a bit scary. I've also had the previous experience because I'm originally from Fiji. And when we had the first military coup and the country was in lockdown, you could have all the money in the world and that meant nothing.
Right. When a country goes into lockdown, Ankit shared with me that they're in lockdown mode. All visas don't go anywhere.
Yep.
Yep. I have a feeling that the whole world needs to engage in this. I missed our president's talk about this yesterday because I just spent so much time listening to all of the subject matter experts and what they're recommending. The INFID, National Foundation of Infectious Disease, he got on and said, you know, we need to attack this immediately. We need to take very, very extreme measures at this point in time to protect everyone. We need to be taking that measure of everyone stay home, not just weeks. They're talking months, Willie, months.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that was scary was when I went to work yesterday, the OC health and safety people, they were a bit blasé about the whole thing. So I asked the guy that ran the operations manager, I said, okay, do we have a safety temperature kit? Oh, yes, let me look. It's here somewhere. And I mean, we have people coming in and out of these. I'm doing a gig at a food and fragrance place at the moment. And we have delivery people coming in and out. And I'm saying, you know, any of these people could be carriers.
Right. I just learned, you know, I shared with you guys the school across the street from me. 3
Yes.
carriers. 3. Yes. So what do you do now? You shut down the school, and that's what they're saying. We need to shut down all the schools.
Yes.
Protect our children, right? And this needs to happen now. One of the things, let's see if I can just let me play this
Yep.
for everyone. Give me a second. I'm going to play this news story. Let's see, that's not the one I wanted. Okay, let's do this. So I'm going to share this one with the world because this one broke my heart about what's going on, and the fact that nobody is really taking this very serious. And let me get this up for you. This gentleman is the National Foundation of Infectious Disease subject matter expert, and it was an interesting interview. Here we go. Can you hear it?
The volume is, yep.
Can you hear it?
The volume is very low. Could we up the volume a bit, please, Kim?
we can close schools. One of the big challenges we have right now, if we close schools, what do we accomplish? In influenza virus, we close schools during outbreaks because it turns out kids get infected in school and they're like little virus reactors. They come home and they transmit it to mom.
So there you have it. If you listen to what's going on in the hello, Nick. Did you unmute yourself, Nick? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So if you look at and listen to what he was saying, he said we're going to need to start closing the schools. If you listen further on into his conversation, he mentions about a place that they got the disease, and they are so under-resourced that the doctors there, and he's almost crying when he's reading the note. I'm going to see if I can fast forward to it later. And in the note, he's reading from this hospital that the doctors and the staff are having to decide who lives or who dies, who can they care for and who not. That's how dangerous this disease is. It's not your typical influenza disease. The symptoms are not they're similar, but really they're far and few in between of what the symptoms are. Ankit has a list of these, and I hope that he shares them with us. So good morning, people.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, Ankit.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I just missed seeing you. You're not on.
I am actually driving. Yesterday also I was driving. I'm driving right now. I'm
Okay.
with my wife today. So she wants to be a part of the conversation. So I thought let's drive and we can connect.
Okay. So anyway, that's pretty alarming. Did you listen to the World Health Organization announcement yesterday?
Yeah, I know about it. After that announcement, Indian government banned all the visas till 15th April. So no tourists or no, no people from different countries are allowed to visit India till 15th April.
Wow. So that's huge for India to be shutting down like this. Is this correct, Ankit?
It's huge, but to safeguard ourselves, that is the step they took.
Well, I think it's the best step right now, don't you?
I think so. It's a correct step as of now because if we are safe, if the humanity is safe, I think we can connect many more times again. Because I was talking to the CEO of Groupon India, which is now nearby, and he told me that this is the first time the humanity in totality are in crisis. It never happened earlier because it happens in some country or some part of the continent, but around the globe, same problem with everyone. And then this is the first time people are not sure what to do and how they will survive.
Wow. So, I mean, this is happening everywhere. And just so that people can hear this, I'm going to play for you the one part that just alarmed me the most about from the World Health Organization director yesterday during the press conference, which I was lucky enough to catch right when they were doing this. They were holding a briefing conference, press conference. They did it on Zoom, so a lot of media could attend it at one time. Can you guys see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, I know, Ankit. No, look. For some reason, I can't hear. Can you guys hear him?
Can you repeat again?
Okay, so I'm playing back the World Health Organization's briefing yesterday during the press conference. The Director General gave a press conference yesterday. Can you hear it?
I got this. Yeah.
No, I can't hear anything.
Okay, let me see what. Let me see.
टेक्नोलॉजी तो पहले थी, बनते कॉलेजेस भी, स्कूल नहीं,
Oops. All right. So I guess nobody can really hear what's going on. But that was the World Health Organization. You can go to their website or you can go to YouTube and you can do World Health Organization Director General holds briefing on the coronavirus. One of the things that was alarming to me was he said, we are alarming the bells. We are sounding the bells, people. Please, we are ringing these bells. Take extreme measures. This was from him. It's very hard for you guys to hear it through our connection, but they held a press conference yesterday, and then they held it on Zoom, so nobody had to come to them. But if you look in their boardroom, everybody from the World Health Organization was sitting in that boardroom. So I am glad I don't work for them because I don't want to be around people right now. What about you, Willie? I like our boardroom.
Yeah, absolutely. This is fine by me.
Nick, Nick, you need to unmute yourself. Ankit, there you go. Ankit, I don't like those boardrooms anymore. I like the one that we have. What about you?
All right. Let's get real here. Okay. Nobody listens to the WHO. Nobody listens to any of these people. But here's what they're going to listen to. All right. Tom Hanks got the coronavirus in Australia, in your place, mate. He was down filming in Australia. Him and Rita Wilson both caught it. Okay. That brings people's attention because Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump, can't get sick and die of the coronavirus. Okay. That's going to get a lot of people's attention. Okay. Now here's the other thing is they canceled the NBA games. Okay, that's going to get people's attention. So when it starts hitting home, then you get people's attention. The WHO in their sterile environment saying, well, it's going to spread and we got to stop it. It doesn't get anybody's attention. When people start getting sick and it's top level people like Tom Hanks, like the National Basketball Association that canceled their whole season, then that gets people's attention that maybe this thing is real and is a big problem. The market's down almost 1,800 today. I mean, the market already feels it.
Yeah, we moved all of our investments into fixed for right now, just financially. Thank you, Nick, for coming in. One of the things, folks, Nick Palaveda is the senior executive producer of IBM TV and one of the founders. Yeah. And he and Ankit and Willie and myself and all of the board members decided, every week we talk about what's going on in our parts of the world. And we said, why don't we get this on TV weekly so that we can share? Because sometimes you can learn information from another part of the world and what's happening so that you can prepare on your side of the world. Yeah. And so we decided to do our board of advisor type talk every day, but more on the coronavirus and the impact. So it has several impacts, not just people becoming contagious and it's spreading, but it has what, Nick? It has the financial, and that's why Nick is here. He's a subject matter expert on financial. Nick.
Yeah, the financial aspect is devastating. I mean, you're looking at a market that's down like 20-30% since its all-time high, which is only a month ago. So anybody who's been riding the market has been riding it pretty far down right now. And I talk to clients all the time about this. And early as yesterday, we were discussing it. I said, look, I don't think the market's at the bottom. I mean, that's not happening. As a matter of fact, I'm getting phone calls all the time about it. So it's it's almost like the phones ring off the hook. Why? Because there's no bottom in the market.
Are they alarming the bell at the market? Because they're alarming the bell at World Health Organization. He said we are alarming the bells.
There may be an automatic shutdown. Okay, to give you an idea, the markets actually do shut down at a certain level when there's a lot of negative trading. In other words, people selling, there's sell orders all over the place, no buy orders, and they can't match the buy orders with the sell orders. It's a technical problem. In other words, everybody wants to sell at the same time. And but I'll tell you, and as we said on yesterday's program, as the news comes in, you can see the market's reaction. And the two bad things that happened last night and today is Tom Hanks has coronavirus, and he got it in Australia, mate. Not a good thing. He was filming down there. Okay. That's not good. Then the NBA player caught the coronavirus. At least they tested positive. They canceled the whole season. That's not good. So what you're seeing is these meltdowns and the cancellation of meetings take place here because of that. The other problem is, Kim, and I do believe this is true, there's more coronavirus out there that we don't know about because the testing, remember, came in late. In other words,
well, and that's something that they talked about at NFID, National Foundation of Infectious Disease. The subject matter expert, Michael Osterholm, has been doing several interviews all week. I'm going to try to get him on our show as well. And one of the things he has discussed is the fact that a lot of people will be infected from contact, from that moment of contact, and the incubation period is 4 weeks. So how many people have you met and touched in 4 weeks in business, Willie?
I have been very lucky to be able to isolate myself and distance from external.
But if you weren't aware of all this,
yes,
you would be in contact with a lot of people, wouldn't you?
A lot of people.
Exactly. And Kit, what about you? If we had not been a little bit aware of this, how many people would you have been in contact with in, say, 2 to 3 weeks?
I'm meeting everyone on daily basis. The routine is normal, but I'm taking all the precautions, keep myself safe, and also I'm trying to be creating more powerful or maybe immune myself so that I'm away from all this.
Well, and I think that's something that we talked about. In your country, you've got very good practices. There's no contact and shaking hands, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to impress upon people. Give everyone your blessings when you say hello to them.
Hey,
you don't have to shake hands.
Kim, is Mike Hofer backstage? He says he is, but I don't know if he is or not.
So we're only allowed 5 right now with what we have. We're only allowed 5 at a time.
I thought it said 6.
For right now, we are fixed. He can join us on Facebook. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 screens up. Let me get rid of one.
Okay.
All right. Is he there? Tell him to dial back in. So we are actually working with some other companies who want to sponsor us. This is getting very exciting, folks. But because I think one of the things that makes us unique is that we're talking to real live people from all over the world, like Willie. Willie kind of gave us a heads up that, there's a run on toilet paper, and we all kind of laughed and joked about it. But that's very important in our lives. And when I did a check here, toilet paper prices have gone up, and there's a run on it here. So people are preparing to stay home. They're preparing for the storm. They're getting their staples stocked up. We stocked up yesterday, even though we have a big pantry and freezer anyway. We live out here in the country, so we're usually prepared for storms. But we've made sure that we have gas for our cooking, because I think that as more and more people can't go to work, I think we're going to see a downplay on our utilities. I think it's going to impact more than just the Dow Jones. I think we're going to see that people can't go to work. So we're not going to be getting our resources that we rely on every day. In big storms, one of the big things that impacts us is our utilities. Think about it, folks, right? Is there talk about that in your country, Willie?
No, not that, but just like the run on the paper and the food items. Australia has never experienced anything like this prior to this. So they have lots of fights in the aisles for toilet paper.
Yeah, and another thing I think people should take a look at is a lot of water. Hydrating yourself and drinking a lot of water and a lot of liquids flushes the bad stuff out of you. And I think we need to be consistently drinking a lot of water. And I think that that's going to be another resource that we see a high purchase on. Willie, you also shared with us pasta, that there was a big run on pasta, and that was interesting to me. But that's a dry product, and it's very filling.
Yes. We also have a large Italian community here. And
oh, wow.
Outside of that, a lot of other people also eat pasta, not just the Italians. It's become like a staple diet here. It's like the Barbie.
Right.
Put a shrimp on the Barbie.
Another thing people don't think about that's filling and it's easy to store. There's things like oatmeal, rice. Like, we buy it by a big bag sometimes, 10, 20-pound bag. Oh my gosh, we've got somebody, my friend from Walter Football has joined us, Michael Hoffer, down in Miami or Tampa. Welcome, Michael.
Yeah. Michael, your microphone works?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. We can hear you, yes.
My friend and
co-host. Put that back on. You look a lot better.
Yeah.
My friend from Walter Football Show, and I suggest people, if you're staying at home and getting bored, I think we're going to ramp that show back on so that we can give something for the people to watch. Walter is still running a show, but good morning, Michael. How's it down there?
Find something to talk about, or we can do a chess show, because my world has totally changed in the last 48 hours.
How has it changed, Michael? Michael's having technical difficulties. Ankit, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Share a little bit, while Michael's trying to get his technical stuff back up, share with us about what's happening in India. Is there a rush on any kind of foods, products? Are people stocking up?
So people are not stocking up the food as of now, but what's happening is that government have banned the cinema halls, so theaters are closed. And also public gatherings are not allowed officially, and all these schools and colleges are shut down, mostly in the metro cities. And they're just saying, as what our ancestors say, that so this is the time where worlds would like to end. So that is what we always say, that this is the fourth generation where world can end at any point of time. So we call them Kali Yuga. So that means, that there are a lot of different ways or means which will, end the humanity. So I think Corona could be one of them, but we still have to fight and be positive.
Yeah. Oh, Kim, on your tags on YouTube, you need to put it in coronavirus.
It's got coronavirus.
Oh, it does? Okay. Just one.
Oh, no, well, on YouTube it might not. But let's talk a little bit about, Nick, when you start hearing things like they're closing down theater houses, big areas where communities gather together for events, how does that impact us financially and economically?
Well, as we all know, South by Southwest is $350 million. The market cap we lost already was over $3.5 trillion, close to $4 trillion, the entire budget of the United States. Or you can imagine this, 3 times the entire gross domestic product of Australia was lost in a month, okay, here in the United States. So it's had a big negative financial impact. And like I said, from our standpoint, we don't see the bottom yet. I don't think you've seen the bottom yet. And I know the market was down 1,800 before I came on, and I got some phone calls. That's the reason I came off, because I got interrupted several times during this meeting. And I can't stop Chicken Little. I mean, the market will do what it is. So if you're in the market, you're going to be taking a ride down, mate. Okay, it's just the way it is.
Well, that's why when we started feeling the impact ourselves, we took the precaution of throwing everything into fix right now.
Right.
And You know, I tried to convince my financial advisor, hey, let's go buy a bunch of toilet paper stock and sanitary wipes and this kind of stock, right?
Yeah, Kimberly Clark, which manufactures, is actually down, even though they manufacture toilet paper. So the toilet paper going up is not going to happen. At least KC stock was down last time I looked. The only one that's going up is the science and technology stocks that relate to viruses. And we should do a program on the cures, believe it or not.
So there are potential cures untested, right?
Exactly.
But the damage that the coronavirus does to the body the minute it hits, it's not going to cure that damage.
Well, some of these are they're how do you say it? They're immune. What they're doing is they're trying to get you some. It's not just a cure; they're prevention that they're actually
building the immune system like a vaccine.
Yeah, exactly, like vaccines. And the thing is, there's a whole litany of research that's being done right now. Most of it's in trial periods. Some are being tried over in China as we speak, and we should do a whole show on that because no one is talking about the path to get out of this. In other words, an IBM TV is perfect because it is a technology, it's a biotechnology to get out of it. Now, there was a doctor, I'm not going to name him because I don't like, as a lawyer, as you know, I don't like getting sued, but he is a physician, a well-known internist who said this is all being blown up by the media. Of course, he's a media guy himself. And I'm not going to mention his name because this is all blown up in the media. So, but I did check his curriculum vitae. His CV, he's an internist. Let me tell you something. An internist knows very little about this. This is a pathologist. In other words, if you're a pathologist, you may know a lot about it. If you're a research scientist, you do. A doctor who's an internist who's on television probably shouldn't opine, and his opine was, well, let's ignore it, basically, which is not good. Because the thing is, when you ignore a problem, the problem just keeps increasing. It doesn't solve the problem. And what do you call empirical data shows he's incorrect. Empirical means just what you see. Tom Hanks getting sick with the coronavirus is empirical data that's not good. The NBA player getting sick is empirical
Nick,
data.
I got to ask a question. Does Tom actually have the virus now?
According to the sources we have, the answer is yes. Him and his wife both contracted it over in Australia while they were filming. So he had to go down under, mate. Okay. Get the virus, and unfortunately, but what I believe empirically means we don't have studies that back it up, in case you don't know what that means. In other words, it's just what you see and you believe that is taking place, that there's more problems out there that have not been tested for at this point in time going down. And it has a ripple effect, which is very, very sad, because restaurants being closed means the waiters are out, the waiters don't have money. In other words, you have this negative impact that we saw in 2008.
So let's talk about that real quick. Yeah. The big corporations, even if they ask people to stay home, maybe they can put them on vacation pay for a while, but eventually the revenue stops. And for a small mom and pop startup type of businesses that are in the local communities, they're not seeing the business. They're going to shut down. Is there a way that the government can produce a stipend of some sort to help these people sustain through this time period?
Well, the government can do a lot of things. We saw that in 2008. Okay, the thing is, and what happens is there can be a positive government response, but it's going to lag. In other words, just like everything.
What did the government do in 2008? You need to remind me. I forgot.
It was the TARP program. The Target Relief Program, they called it TARP, which basically they extended credit and loans to banks and to financial institutions to start lending again. And they even supported companies like AIG, American International Group, with a huge loan, because they saw that if AIG failed, the banks would fail, because the banks basically were insured by American International Group. Don't
you think that by giving us loans to get us out of this mess is just putting us more in debt? It's not helping us.
Well, yes and no. The loans were bridge loans. Most of the TARP loans were actually paid back. As a matter of fact, the loan program was over $700 billion. I have a whole book on it back there, the financial crisis. Now, with that in mind, in case you didn't follow what happened, They did create new rules here to make the banks more solvent and the insurance companies. And the insurance companies just implemented what they call principal-based reserve last year. We've been following that for years. Nobody follows principal-based reserve because no one cares about it until they realized that they basically want to make sure that the insurance companies and banks were more solvent in the event an occurrence like this takes place, which it looks like it's going to. But the ripple effect is the interesting thing. It's like a tsunami or it's like a hurricane. Okay, the tsunami, you see the water going out, but you don't know the impact as it comes back in. See, what we're doing right now is we're seeing the tip of the iceberg. We're seeing the water going out. Okay, but we don't know what it's going to be like, how far it's going to out when it comes back in. Mike may already be being affected by it. So Hofer, are you available to talk?
Let's get Mike Hofer on, my buddy from Walter Football, folks. Good morning, Walter. Football buddy.
Affected you already. What happened?
I got something important to say if everyone can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, we can. Please tell.
Before I die again. Before we all die. Okay. Monday morning, I was at perhaps the elite private school on the west coast of Florida, negotiating. We were having Grandmaster Henley come here for an event, and then we also decided to have a major test tournament. We're filling a void here where we're going to get a minimum of 150 entries. And the Florida State Scholastic Tournament was last weekend. Many of my parents did not go. Is it a coincidence they happen to be Chinese? I don't think so. I mean, they know what havoc they wreak with this stuff. And that's the first sense that I got. But anyway, I went with another person who was going to partner with me in the tournament. And we're all about terms and how we run things, how much money we're going to make. We're going to run the event on April 18th. And we're also, someone has tried to steal my summer camps from me. And so this all was really important to me on Monday. It really was. And my principal said, Mike, are you hungry? I'm a diabetic. Yeah, I'm hungry. She took me to where the school was eating, gave me some free food, and then instructed the entire school how to wash their hands, how to make sure everything's clean. But she did it in a very non-alarmist manner. It was very professional. It achieved the aim that you need to wash your hands, but didn't set off any panic. This woman was convinced on Monday that, hey, we can do business as usual, no problem.
Yeah.
And then, all of a sudden, all these things that we're arguing about, business stuff and all that, I don't think anybody's going to have any events, and it's made me more aware of the things that are really important in life. Like our family, our friends, and being able to meet like this where we don't have to touch each other. This is the future, probably. Yeah. I mean, everything that mattered in my life, right now, it's like I was arguing about this, it ain't even going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Making contact. We're making a new kind of contact. And Mike, you've kind of missed a few of our shows, but ANKIT, this is how they do hello in their country. I think this is very important. We stop shaking hands. We give our blessings to everyone. Hi, ANKIT. And we say, that's right. Because I think, right. Because, and you know what, people don't realize this, but we actually have been sharing a lot of diseases over the years, not just the coronavirus. So it's better to do this than it is to do this and this. We really need to do a double check on how we greet each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fist pumps maybe at best, but the thing is the contact, you want to minimize the contact because that's a big problem. And right now, what we have to do as much as we can to contain it until the solutions come on board, which IBM TV, we really need to do a special on coronavirus cures and possible solutions because they're all in experimental stage. And I think that people need to know about that and follow the progress. Okay. In other words, because the thing is they're being tested right now in China, but we don't know what the results are, but we can access the information and get it to you. Getting information and getting it to you is a big problem. You think it would be easy, but it's more challenging than you would think. The information travels, even though we have the information superhighway, there's a lot of roadblocks. Okay, part of it is because they don't want people to know about it. I mean, it's simple as this: bad news, they don't want it to travel. It does affect the stock market, as we can see. It does affect people's lives, but at the same time, there's good news. And that doesn't travel either. You know, in other words,
No,
and part of it is they don't want people to have hope or belief that the cure is right across the street.
well,
So,
they're not. They're under promising and hopefully over delivering. I think that's the tactic they're taking right now is to
Right.
under promise and over deliver, which a good friend of mine always reminds me that in this day and time we have to be that way. In looking at the update on Tom Hanks, it looks like his son just gave an update 27 minutes ago. It does appear that they have tested positive for the coronavirus. Apparently, the test kits are more available where he was filming.
Well, how important is the NBA suspending the season that they would give up millions of dollars at the drop of a hat is significant. And I'd like to reiterate my question that if anyone here is qualified to answer, are there going to be any summer camps this summer?
well,
No, they're shutting things down.
we already talked. I thought we talked to you about that, Mike. That we'll bring it up. We were going to bring it up on our Friday meeting when we have more of the chess players that show up. That the national high school, the elementary, and the middle school have not been canceled yet. Okay, but here's the real problem: are the parents going to really take their kids
Exactly.
to these events?
Yeah,
So
that's
even-
what I thought with last weekend. Yeah.
The chess players, as you know, are the most stubborn group in the
Yep.
world. Okay, when it comes to chess. Okay, in other words, like there could be World War II going on,
Yeah.
and then the two chess players would be sitting there playing their game right in the middle of the battlefield, ignoring the fact people are dying all over the place. It's just the nature of the game. Okay, it's the cult. I'm telling you, I've been in that cult for a long time.
He's
They
right.
don't-
We've got
they don't really care. Okay, people dying. Okay, who cares? What's your rating? Okay, that's the
I got to play the new line in Nydorf.
Okay, right. What's the latest line of the night? Right. Okay. So the thing is, they're the last ones, and they haven't canceled any of their national events. And if you've ever been to them,
You're such a
5,000
cult.
kids, 5,000.
You're such a cult.
Yeah, and these kids touch pieces. They touch each other. They, they slobber all over the place. I mean,
Yeah.
If one of them got it, 5,000 would have it. I mean,
They're
it's
going to Nashville.
nature of the beast.
Yep.
So,
they say this is like stopping the hurricane windstorm. We're not going to stop it. If you listen to the World Health Organization Director General's speech yesterday, he's alarming the bell. He wants the schools to shut down. And this isn't for weeks because it takes weeks for it to incubate in your body and know you have a symptom. It's going to be for months that we need to self-contain ourselves into a bubble. Get some good books. Get used to some TV. Binge watch. Watch us on IBM TV. We're going to be getting some movies.
Yeah, we'll be able to continue to do this because we're all virtual. So what difference does it make?
I love this. You know, I met they had the news outside of my house the other day. I'm not sick, but they were standing in my yard because across the street they had an outbreak at a school. We have two schools, one next door to us and one across the street. We're a couple acres apart from the one next door to us. But the one across the street's 100 feet. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this is airborne. The wind is blowing.
Okay, airborne. This just came in on the wire. Coronavirus can remain in the air for 3 hours. That's not good. And live on plastic for days. Now, my question to you, Mr. Michael Hofer, the Magic Chess Player Guru.
How much plastic have you
How much
touched?
plastic do you touch when you play chess?
Yeah.
Okay, all the chess pieces are plastic.
Oh my God.
You know, so the thing is, and this is where
If it gets sued, she ran an event.
okay, this is the reason they say, well, we scrub the airlines down once a day. Once a day ain't enough.
No.
Okay, it's not going to happen. They
You need to
scrub
do it, change it. Here's what I want the airlines to do before I board.
together.
Before I board, I want them to airtight the whole thing and gas it with whatever it takes to kill the virus.
Yeah.
It fumigates the whole plane. They open up the doors, we get on. But here's the problem. Who you board with might have it and don't know it.
Yes. Okay, so the real question is, do you have your wills and trust up to date?
Nick, we're not supposed to be pitching ourselves.
The estate planning attorneys are having a field day here in America.
Well, the National Foundation Infectious Disease Special Expert, subject matter expert, Michael, his name was Michael Osterholm, has been on consistently for the last 3 days, spreading the fear of, we need to be more aware. We need to shut down the schools. He literally started crying almost, reading a letter from one of the hospitals in another part of the world. And it said, we are literally deciding who lives and dies here because we don't have the resources to help everyone. All of our staff who have the disease, we've all contracted it. We are working until we just can't work anymore, until we are sick in bed. So we got hospitals in the world that can't contain it, that can't control it, and they're working until they are dead themselves.
Right. Well, the Dow is down 1,700. I'm going to have to get going, but you guys can continue.
Well, before you go, Nick, since you're dealing with the futures so much, when are things possibly the soonest they'll ever be back to normal?
They have no answer.
Do you know what Warren Buffett statement?
He's an attorney.
I'll get back. I'll take that under advice. I'll take that under
This is
advice.
the soonest thing could be normal again, ever.
Okay.
He's an attorney. He's going to tell you. He'll get back with you.
I'll get back with you on that, and I'll send you my engagement letter. So we will catch you later on that one.
We'll see you tomorrow, Nick.
The answer.
He's not going to. He's an attorney.
Ankit.
Ankit?
Yes.
Here's the answer. What is this?
Ankit disappeared. I think Ankit has to go too. We try to run this for an hour, but sometimes we get so many visitors from other parts of the country. We stay on longer because the information from Hong Kong the other day was very helpful. They were talking about how they literally had closed the gates to China and the trains have stopped running for several weeks now. So this is something that we should have been aware of.
Yeah. When are things going to be normal? Does anybody have any clue? Willie, do you have a clue?
No idea.
Yeah.
Willie and I are just hosts on this show. We will read to you what we've learned from the CDC. We will talk to you about what our community is doing, but we are no subject matter expert. One of the things I've tried to tell people is go to the National Geographic and read that article on what does it do to my body. Apparently, some places don't want you to know about this article. National Geographic, I trust. I trust them to tell me the truth and the truth about the world because they're out there every day at risk. And so that article was very enlightening to me, and it's something they don't share with you. It tears the insides of your body apart, starting with your lungs. It tears your lungs. The damage is permanent. This is not the flu or the cough or the cold, and you wake up 3 days later and you're back to normal. There is no normal. There is no cure. There's no treatment. And this is something I've noticed in all of the speeches. They don't ever talk about what you could do at home to recover. They don't talk about what we can do to recover and what they're doing at the hospitals to help people recover. You know, we've got 64,000 people that estimated recovered. What did they do to help them recover? Is that something I can do at home? And we need to know this, and they're not sharing this with us. We're not looking for an infinite cure right now. We want one, but just share with us what they're doing at the hospitals.
Or share with us what is working at the moment.
Exactly. But nobody is doing that. And so we need that information from CDC, from the reliable resources, and from World Health Organization. We need that information from them. And they're not sharing that with us. They're not sharing what they're doing to the people in the hospital beds and the 64,000, what worked for them. And they need to. And I personally, I don't know about you guys, but I would love to speak with someone who has been released from the hospitals and has recovered. And then we have the ship that's under quarantine. Is, you know, what happens to those people? When do they get released? And how do we know it's safe for them, but also safe for us? One of the people on the ship, he was texting, you know, that he's in fear of his life of being released because people have been threatening that they're going to kill him. I mean, is that a good thing?
No, no,
No.
no. That's really scary. That's really
We
scary.
don't need to be threatening to kill people. What we need to learn to do is what can we do to help people, and what can they be doing to recover? You know, is it high doses of antibiotics helping their body to regain recovery? High doses of immune system builders? You know, are we detoxing their bodies and helping their bodies flush it out? But then when they recover, are they still contagious?
Yes. Or hot, spicy food, because it emits heat.
Emits heat. And, you know, we see that the countries like India and Mexico, they're not as heavily impacted. And everybody says, well, it's the heat in their environment. But here's what I have a problem with this. They say that heat slows it down or deters it, but our bodies are 98.6 degrees, and it's jumping into our bodies like this. And then our bodies get a fever, and it's not leaping out of our bodies with the fever, right? Yeah. So if it's deteriorating with heat or not, you know, it stops growing in heat, why are our bodies such a host at 98.6 degrees? You know, is the heat at a certain point? Is it 110 degrees? You know, we need to start looking at these environmental situations and why these, but hot food, you know, is a jalapeno stopping it? Hey, I heard that the napsin inside of a jalapeno pepper actually helps with digestive problems. If you're having digestive problems, it actually kills the bad bacteria. The bad bacteria.
Yes, it does. I eat jalapenos like it's going out of business. I eat it raw.
Do you like the mild, the medium, or the hot, Willie?
Extra hot, extra hot.
Yeah, I can't handle the extra hot. I sweat too much, but maybe that's a good thing, right? Maybe we need to be eating foods that detox us to the point that we're sweating. And I think these are conversations that we need to be whiteboarding, because sometimes I think we overthink the problems in the lab, right? We re-loop over and over what we think in the lab is book sense as opposed to common sense. And many times we would have a problem in one of the labs I worked in years ago, and the subject matter experts would be sit there just rolling over and over and over the same issues, over the book sense stuff. Oh, this just doesn't make logical sense. And, you know, somebody from behind you will walk up with no book sense at all about it, go, well, why is that wire hanging down? Is that the problem? It's right there in front of your face. But we didn't look at the common sense. Yes. We were looking at the book sense. So I think we need to take a step back. Don't look at the logical sense and the book sense, and let's approach this as a living organism that's in survival mode. Right?
Absolutely. And I totally agree with that, because the thing that's going to save us is not in the book sense content. It's going to be something that's left field.
That's right. It's going to be the most common sense thing that we've ever thought of. We're just like we are killing the earth with a lot of our trash and toxins, and destroying the oxygen maker inside of our reefs. Our reefs are dying. Somebody found a way to reproduce the reefs, not really heal the dead ones, but they've at least found a way to reproduce the reefs. And it was by accident. It was not logical sense. What he did had no logical book sense whatsoever. It was purely by accident and observation, just watching around him all the other things that happened. So I think that's what we need to do, is step back globally as friends. We need to share what we're doing, share what's happening. And maybe somewhere, like you said, we'll find out it might be the jalapeno. We don't know. And if you
Absolutely.
find something, go live at ibm.tv and share it with us. If you want to dial in and share it with us, give me your email, and I will definitely dial you in. Willie, thank you for joining us again today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And
Thank you.
we're going to sign off with our new theme song here, if you want to stay with me, and then I will end the broadcast. And we thank all of you for joining us. Please share with the world, wash your hands a lot, eat a lot of healthy foods, detox your body, stay away from people. Let this be your contact. And I bid you all blessings. And here we go, Willie.
Thank you.